everyone. Welcome to Jewish Boy Calls His Mother. I'm your host, Sadia, and this is my mother, Ima. Hey, Ima.
And my sweetheart, I've made a very unusual cocktail tonight.
Yeah, what was it?
Yes, it was a combination of vodka, appletini mix, tonic water, and ice.
Sounds good. Sounds lovely.
Well,
Absolutely lovely.
I didn't have my usual stash because I'm staying with your sister tonight.
Yes, I know. There was a topic you want to talk about, by the way, you want to discuss?
Well, first of all, there's a topic that we spoke about a few weeks ago about dates, about bum dates. And it jolted my memory. And I thought of a story. I thought something happened to me that I had totally forgotten about, that was in the recesses of my memory from years ago. What happened was I was dating this gentleman who was from England, Manchester. And what can I say? I guess you would call it irreconcilable cultural differences. First of all, one of the things that bothered him about me was the fact that I didn't have yichus. That was about his tshuva, and I didn't have what some people would call gej. And he felt very self-conscious about this because what happened was, where he lived in England, there were a lot of kids that grew up that were from non-religious families, but the best school in the area was the Chabad school.
Yeah.
So a lot of these kids attended the Chabad school, and as a result, many of them became frum as a result of that. But for some reason, it was his shtick where he always felt self-conscious about being frum, but with not much of a background. And he always wanted to marry a girl that had some sort of yichus, some sort of gej. Well, you know how the Rebbe always felt about gej.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, the Rebbe did not hold by it at all. In fact, there's a story about a man who wrote to the Rebbe about this young man his daughter was engaged to. He was concerned that the young man had no real yichus. And the Rebbe wrote this man back, "Don't worry, he's going to be a better chassid than you."
People are just scared. People are just scared and want to have something to cling on to.
So what happened was this. So that was one thing. That was like strike one in his book.
Yeah.
Strike two was he found out that I had gone out on 2 dates, and his 2 dates with a guy who was divorced, no children involved. The guy had been married for just a few months. He and his wife realized it was a mistake from the very beginning. And that was it. So, when he found out that I had gone out on 2 dates with this divorced guy, he says to me, "How can you cheapen yourself like that?"
Cheapen yourself.
And I said to him, "How can I what?" So I said, "Come on." I said, "What's your problem?" I said, anybody can make a mistake. So what? But I spoke to this girl from England. When I told her about the incident, she goes, "Yes, unfortunately," this was like in the 1970s. She says, "There are a lot of people from England who still look very askance at divorce in general." So anyway, so he and I went on quite a number of dates for a few months, and we didn't really know what to do. Should we continue? Should we break up? What should we do? Because he said he found that I had a lot of milas. There were a lot of things he liked about me, and he really didn't know what to do. So we decided to write into the Rebbe and ask the Rebbe's advice. So I'm sitting in my dorm room, and I just finished the letter to the Rebbe. I just signed it. And when he called, and I picked up the phone, he says, "Did you write the letter to the Rebbe?" I said, "Yes, I just finished it, as soon as you called." And then something occurred to me, and I said to him, "Tell me something. How do you really feel about me?"
Oh, wow. I mean, that's...
Whoa. Let's put it this way. We had to hire a carpenter to hammer the roof back onto his dorm room after it blew off.
Oh, wow.
He had a grade A fit. And he yelled at me. He goes, "What do you mean how I feel? What do you want me to say? Do you want me to say I love you? I can't say I love you. I don't love you." He says, and if you're looking for romance in marriage, that's just part of your twisted box tshuva past. There's no such thing as real romance in marriage. And he was just going on and yelling at me about, romance being, just part of the Goisha Welt and my Balas tshuva past. And, and it's not a real thing in a real Jewish marriage, which of course is a bunch of bunk, because romance is very much a part of any person's marriage, no matter what, religion you are, walk of life. Romance very definitely has its place in marriage. So as he's yelling at me, I take the letter that I wrote to the Rebbe, I ball it up, I threw it up in the air, and I volleyed it across the room into the trash can.
Oh, wow. That's funny.
So that's how we parted company.
Jeez. Sounds like a guy that's just very insecure with who he is and not really, no, it's the problem is that kind of person I know still exists today. It's not like this was some story that is an isolated incident between one person. I know people still believe in those concepts today with this whole idea of, marriage isn't about love and all this stuff. I mean, I would have to definitely say that he does have a point where it's like this romanticized idea of a relationship is very toxic, and I feel like can really damage a relationship, especially if you look at, rom-coms or other like romantic movies. It gives you a very bad idea of what, your position is supposed to be in a relationship. I think it's a little more complicated than just saying that there is no love in a real relationship, and that it's about maybe like handling, I guess, different situations and depending on somebody and having that dependability is something that's very important.
But there's gotta be chemistry. There's gotta be feeling. There's romance. I once heard Dennis Prager say something very interesting. He was talking about how in the Torah, when it delineates basically who you should be intimate with, and basically the only person you should be intimate with is a husband and a wife, and that's it. So Dennis Prager was talking about in the run of history, he says, when the Torah was written, and this whole thing was written about not being intimate with anyone other than a husband or wife, he says the nations of the world at the time did not, to them, marriage was basically politics, or was for very practical reasons, because you wanted someone to marry your daughter and take care of her. Otherwise, she'd wind up starving on the street, which was a very, very serious reality during the biblical era. And he said, what Dennis Prager said, what Judaism did, he says, what Judaism did was that the nations of the world looked to eroticism outside of marriage. They did not equate eroticism with anything in marriage. Marriage was for very practical and political reasons. He says Judaism took the idea of eroticism and put it in marriage. We were the first people to actually officially do that. Basically, the idea of eroticism and romance being in marriage.
I guess. I don't know. That sounds like a very strong statement that they were the only ones that did that. I think.
But we were the first religion to actually, how can I say, officially, how can I say, like, make it an official equation. I mean, when you read about Esav and his screwy family, I mean, it's like they were having intimate relations with anything and anyone other than the person they were married to. When you read about, like I said, Esav and his descendants and all their crazy, behavior. So I think number one in marriage has to be respect. You can't have marriage without respect. That's a foundation. But
what do you mean respect? Define that.
well, let me go on. I'm almost finished. But romance runs a very close second. You have to, it's like the icing on the cake. If you don't have some sort of element of romance or eroticism in your marriage, you got a really boring, dead marriage, man. I feel sorry for you.
So elaborate on respect. What does respect mean to you?
Mutual respect, like,
That sounds very vague.
okay. Um, basically, um, by respect, well, first of all, the very basic element of respect. In other words, having enough respect for a person that, say, the two of you are having a disagreement. Okay, no married couple can agree on everything. There's going to be some disagreement somewhere, and when there's mutual respect, the two of you can sit and discuss this thing. Or if the situation gets heated, you can have the maturity and the respect to say, look, this is getting a little hostile. Let's walk away from each other and let's do something else, and we'll go back to this discussion later. You know what I mean? But basically, there should not be any abuse. I mean, put downs, pushing, shoving, spitting, certainly no physical altercation, nothing like that. No type of violent behavior. That you should have enough respect for this person that even in the heat of an argument, you would never think of putting your hands on them in any type of violent way, like throwing things at them, constant put downs. That's horrible. Name calling, just, treating the other person like you would want to be treated.
Yeah, it sounds pretty basic.
Yeah, unfortunately, though, all you have to do is, what can I say? Get on YouTube and see
World Star Hip Hop.
See all the couples in court that shot each other, beat each other up. Husbands who, in the heat of an argument, actually murdered their wives and buried their bodies someplace. And, you see it all the time. Unfortunately, you say basic respect, pretty basic, yeah. Like as they say, common sense is not so common. Basic respect, unfortunately, is not that common either, and it should be. But anyway, so the other topic I wanted to go into, unless you want to kick this one around a little bit.
Sure. No, it's fine. The next one.
Okay. As you know, Baruch Hashem, your sister, this past week gave birth to a jumping, hopping baby boy.
Yeah.
And I was thinking to myself, like, about, my single years, how single people, very often before we get married, there's a lot of single people who will fantasize about parenthood. Like, they imagine what their kids are going to be like. They imagine what kind of parent they're going to be like. So, like you, as someone who is not a father yet, how do you visualize yourself? Like, what are some of the fantasies you have about the kind of kid you're going to have, the type of father you're going to be?
Well, everything is just all, I mean, man plans, God laughs. So it's almost futile for me to go ahead and try to imagine what it would be like. But I kind of would think on a psychological level that maybe the good memories I had with Tati would be something that I could create with my future kids, walking to shul and playing games and teaching them how to daven and teaching them how to say Tehillim and things like that. Maybe try to see he won't get into too much trouble in school and how to handle things like that. I try to think of more practical, constructive ways to break it down, because I feel like, the most important thing is I want to be prepared for everything. So I kind of think of worst case scenario, like what would happen if my kid got expelled from school and I'd have to go ahead and speak to the principal to get him to get back into school again, like something like
really?
that.
I don't know anybody that had to do that. Do you?
Oh, of
Like
course
3,
not.
4, 5 times.
No, I got suspended every year.
There was
I
a
only got
chair.
expelled twice.
Yeah, there
I
was a
only got
chair
expelled twice.
in every school you guys went to. There was a chair in that principal's office with my name on it.
Yeah, I don't think it was that dire, but sure. Um, yeah. No, I think it just also, I feel like it's a lot of responsibility and a lot of cash flow, and I hope that I'll have everything there for my kids. But I think I would want to be there to be supportive. Of course, I want to be the best dad out there. Everyone wants to be like that, but you're only going to find out what happens when push comes to shove and you're put in a situation that you really need to focus on. So for me, in my head, I just started thinking of like different things. Like one of the rules that Tati always had and you always had was, no matter what time of night or what part of the day, if you need someone to take you home somewhere you're not comfortable in the place that you're in, just give us a call. We'll come and pick you up, no questions asked. I think that's something that's very important,
Oh yeah.
to give kids a sense of security, knowing that that can happen. I mean, we know a story are far too well. I'm not sure if we mentioned on the podcast before about this one person that we knew who their parents were very strict with them and had like the doors locked by like I think 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night, something like that. And the kid
Yeah.
was working or doing stuff and just decided to go ahead and like he slept over our house, slept over other people's houses, and it got to a point where it's like he wasn't home most of the time because he was just hanging out with his friends because his parents were trying to be so strict and so strong on the gamut, saying like, well, you need to do this and you need to do that. And unfortunately, what
Yeah.
happened was he got in the car with someone and he got into a car accident and passed away.
Yeah.
But like the parents had no idea what he was up to or what was going on because they were trying just so
Yeah.
hard to hold on to this weird stringency that's just it's just innate and silly and stupid. It's it's almost as if like when you have authority, you feel like you don't want to give it up. You don't want to show any signs of weakness. And you think any sign of weakness, you have to have this this gavura, but it's just unnecessary gavura that's just not needed. Um, but I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe my ideas would change. I just think it's just kind of pointless. In my opinion, it would be more of like you be strict with your kids when they're children between the ages of 0 and about 12 or 13. By the time they're
Mhm.
teenagers, they're going to do whatever they want anyways. That it's almost nearly like impossible to go ahead and control them. That you kind of have to just be there as a support system and hope that the strict way of raising them up until that point was good enough for them to kind of start to slowly raise themselves. And by the time they're 18 or 20, they should have some understanding of what to do and they should be more independent.
I think you really hit the nail when you said not control, but guidance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not control, but guidance. Yeah. I think that really hit the nail on the head. Yeah. I remember we were talking about like schools, like, kids acting up in school. After your youngest sister graduated Beis Yaakov Elementary, Rabbi Friedman of Shalom saw me walking down the hall and he puts out his arms like, what am I going to do? He says to me, what am I going to do? He says, no more angsters in the elementary school. So I said to him, yeah, what are you going to do with your free time?
Oh God.
He cracked up laughing so hard he had to hold onto the wall.
It's laughing at his own jokes.
Just no laughing him out when I said, what are you going to do with your free time?
Oh, I see. I see.
Yep.
I was gathering it. I was comprehending it differently.
Yeah, of course, my children were not your usual compliant,
We were free
uh,
spirits.
fall in line, typical from kids, just listen and obey. Right.
Yeah.
Yes. But I don't know. When I was single, I used to fantasize sometimes about the type of kids I was going to have, and I pictured living in a really nice house in the suburbs with two little blonde-haired, blue-eyed kids. That's how I was dating I was dating a Goyish guy in college with blonde hair and blue eyes. So I,
Mhm.
so I imagine, like my little blonde hair, blue-eyed kids, whatever. And well, it turned out I certainly didn't have I didn't have my little house, my nice house in the suburbs. I had my little row house in Baltimore City.
Yeah.
I didn't have two little kids, Kanai Nahar. I had a Baruch Hashem, a whole tribe. What sports team has 10 people?
No, you're thinking of baseball has 9 people
Uh-huh.
and plus one. We were a baseball team plus one.
Okay. And I did get a couple blonde hair, blue eyed kids though out of the deal. Couple of you've got two of you've got blonde hair and blue eyes.
Oh, field lacrosse has 10 people, by the way.
Field lacrosse team. Very good.
We have
Sounds
field
good.
lacrosse team, especially in Maryland.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what we're known for.
Yes.
Lacrosse. But what's funny is that Maryland's state sport is actually jousting.
Yes. I remember hearing
That's what's
about
so funny.
that.
It's jousting. That's the state sport.
How do they do jousting now? I guess bloodlessly.
Blunt, and they knock them off, I guess.
They knock them off their horse, or they I thought they had like this little round thing at the end of the whatever that they carry, and you try to get it on the end of yours or something. Nope. I think it's something just no.
I think that is jousting. I think, but it's so funny. Jousting was banned though in 1130. Oh well. Either way,
Really?
they still do jousting. They still do jousting. I think they have like they kind of like lower like dumb it down, I guess, some sort. But they have jousting.
Well, the history of lacrosse. The history of lacrosse was it was a sport that was played by the American Indian, and you used to get thousands of whooping Indians. They would come running on the field, and a lot of them got trampled and killed during the sport.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
wow.
I was thinking too about. I'm wondering when are they going to start? When are they going to outlaw bullfighting?
I think they've outlawed a lot of it, a lot of places.
But they still do it in Mexico and Spain.
Well,
I know in Texas. I think in Texas, don't they do bloodless bullfighting?
I don't think they do bullfighting at all. I don't think they do. Bullfighting is banned, but California banned bullfighting of any kind in 1957.
What about Mexico and Spain? Because I used to watch real bullfighting. Station 45 years ago would actually cover bullfighting in Mexico.
That
was when I was in college and in high school.
Did you see a bullfight? Did you see a bullfight? Was it your friends that saw a bullfight?
I never saw a bullfight live. I watched the bullfight on television that was covered on Station 45. But my Spanish teacher in high school told us about that she took a group of 5 girls to Spain. And of course, they, you're in Spain, you want to watch it, you want to go see a bullfight. And she said, not the bull, nothing happened to the bull. She said, so many toreadors were gored and had to be carried out of the ring and were bleeding, that the girls got sick and they couldn't stand it. They left.
Oh my gosh.
The bulls were fine. It was the guys, the bullfighters that got it.
Jeez Louise. Okay, that's the end of our episode. Thank you, Emma, and thank you, listeners. I'll talk to you again later. Have a good Shabbos.
Thank you, sweetheart. Have a good Shabbos. Nice talking to you.
You too. Thank you for listening to Jewish Boy Calls His Mother episode. Please like and subscribe our Facebook group at Jewish Boy Calls His Mother Podcast, and check out our YouTube channel, Jewish Boy Calls His Mother. I know you'd like it, and my mother would appreciate it too.